Our MC, Shido, is woken up by his cute little sister every morning with a kick to the stomach, and she tells him to soak it in as this is the only time he will ever be touched by a girl. But she runs off before he can show her what he really wants to do with girls. Shido smiles as his plan to get her out of his room works, but finds she is still terrified by his joke when he gets downstairs. He chooses to scare her one more time for good time's sake, but reminds her this is Japan, not Alabama. As he makes breakfast for his little sister, Kotori, she is watching the news of a new spacequake appearing in the area, and that no one has figured out where they came from since appearing 30 years ago. As they walk to school, Kotori is happy that her older brother will let them eat at a super deluxe restaurant after school. She makes him promise to come even if a spacequake appeared, and Shido says, okay, as he will do anything for his little sister. As he waves goodbye to his little sister, 3 female students talk about how they are a little too close, and maybe he really does have a little sister complex. They change their mind, however, when Shido's hand is grabbed and held a little too long by Hiroto, and they start to think, maybe Diddy had a party in Japan. One of the girls then noticed a white-haired girl stalking Shido from a distance. The same girl then approaches Shido in class, but he seems to not remember her. And instead of giving our boy a hint, she simply chose to sit next to him. Hiroto then tells Shido the girl is Tobichi. She is known as the super genius of the school, and also does not understand how she would know Shido. When class ends, Hiroto asks Shido if he is coming to the Diddy party later, but MC tells him he is still recovering from last time, so he will meet his little sister at the restaurant as promised. In that moment, however, an alarm rings due to the sudden appearance of a spacequake, and the kids are told to escape into a nearby shelter. Shido tries to call Kotori to make sure she also found shelter, but remembers she said to meet at the restaurant even in the case of a spacequake. And sure enough, her GPS location shows she is at the restaurant. Shido leaves the shelter and runs to the restaurant, but he gets caught in the spacequake on the way. He is knocked out for a few seconds, but finds the area obliterated when he opens his eyes. What is even more shocking, he finds a girl in full armor in the center of the spacequake, as he wonders where the hottie came from. She grabs her sword and starts destroying everything around him. She then points her sword at him and asks if he is here to kill her too, but MC does not know what the F she is talking about. He tells her if she puts the sword down, he will unzip his pants and show her he has one too. But before he can do so, 5 girls fly in and launch freaking missiles at them. Sword Girl blocks the missiles and engages the other girls in battle. While they fight, Shido wonders why a girl as strong as her looks so sad. MC then realizes one of the girls is his stalker Tobichi, but before they can talk, Tobichi flies back in and engages Sword Girl in close quarters combat. Their final strike causes a massive explosion that Shido gets caught in, causing him to lose consciousness. While unconscious, Shido hears a voice telling him,
I will never make the same mistake again. I will never leave you again. I will stay by your side forever.
Shido wakes up to a nurse who looks like she only gets 40 minutes of sleep a night, and he asks about his little sister. The nurse, Murasame, tells him his little sister is fine, but has to take him to see the commander, as only he can explain things to him. You guys are not going to believe this, but the commander is actually Kotori, Shido's little sister. Kotori starts explaining that the sword girl that Shido came across was a spirit called Princess, but Shido tells her to stop, as he is still confused on how his cute little sister can be the commander of a team that hunts spirits as strong as Sword Girl. Kotori says she will tell him about that later, and explains to him that the space quakes are caused by the arrival of powerful spirits, not due to some unknown calamity. Kotori then tells MC there is another way to deal with the spirits other than fighting them off. She will need his help with this method, and his training starts tomorrow. The next morning, their teacher introduces her new assistant, and it is the sleep-deprived nurse Murasame. Shido later asks Kotori and Murasame why she is at the school, and the nurse tells him it is so she can reach him quickly in cases of an emergency. Shido wants to know what the training is, and Kotori shows him it's a fucking dating Sims game. Basically, Shido's training is to get better at rizzing up girls, so he can make the powerful spirits fall in love with him, and after days of grinding, he finally completes it. We are then taken to a Tobichi's dream, where she watches her parents being killed by a spacequake. She wakes up sweating, and is frustrated that the dream was not about Shido. Kotori then sends Shido out on the field to practice his skills against their teacher. Shido immediately starts spitting game, making Mrs. Teacher blush, but he starts selling. Murasame then starts giving him advice over the earphone they gave him. Shido tells Mrs. Teacher he started enjoying school only because she became his teacher, Her presence hit different, and he'd like to marry her. The line made Mrs. Teacher's bottom lips tingle, and she starts going crazy over Shido, who makes a run for it while she is still fantasizing about the baby-making sessions they will have. While running away, Shido bumps into Tabichi, and Kotori tells him to take the opportunity to riz her up. Shido uses the usual, "I've always looked at you from afar" line, and Tobichi responds she does the same. He says he would sniff her dirty gym uniform when she was not looking, and Tobichi responds she smells his too.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Finally, he asked her if she would like to date him, and with a straight face, she answers yes. Shido is surprised at how easy this is, but as they talk, another spacequake appears. The princess has come back for the sword Shido promised to show her. Kotori tells Shido, who is standing in front of the school, it's time to show off his training. He will try to riz up the princess, who is waiting in one of the classrooms. As soon as Shido shows up in the classroom, however, the princess immediately attacks him. She misses on purpose as that was a warning shot, and tells him to pull out this sword he was talking about. Before answering back, Kotori stops Shido and tells him they will use the love game simulator to determine what he will say. They run it and tell Shido what to say. Shido tells the princess, "Before asking someone to show you their sword, you should show your roast beef first."
Whoa, hey.
The princess immediately attacks him again and says she will give him one last chance. Shido tells her his name and says he has no intention of harming her. The princess calms down and says she remembers they met before. She then grabs him by the head, asking him why he lied to her, and seeing her sad face, Shido chooses to stop playing around and tells her he really has no intention of hurting her. The princess then asks if he didn't come here to kill her, then why is he here? Instead of choosing to go with the love simulator again, Shido decides to just be straightforward. He says he came here to meet her, to talk with her. He doesn't care what they talk about, but he wants her to know that he will never reject her. That line hits her right in the roast beef. The princess takes a step back and asks Shido if he really means it, and he says yes. She blushes and tells Shido she actually does not have a name yet, and she will go with whatever name he chooses to call her. Shido names the princess Toka, and she is really happy with the name. As they talk, however, Toka is attacked again by the 5 flying girls, and she tells Shido to run because she does not want him to get hurt. But this man Shido just tells her to sit next to him because he wants to talk with her some more. While they talk, the girls continue to fire, but all their attacks are blocked by Toka's barrier. It's as if they are not even there. Toka tells Shido she actually does not know where she came from, as most of her memories are gone. When she woke up, she was suddenly attacked by little flies with guns. Damn! Kotori then tells Shido to seal the deal by asking Koda on a date. The problem is Tobichi goes crazy when she spots her man talking to the princess and dashes in. She stands between Shido and Koda gets serious this time because this little girl is trying to take her man before he could show her the sword he promised. After being knocked out, Tabichi had to be delivered to the hospital by helicopter. Shido comes back to the school the next morning and thinks of how he almost clutched a 2-verse-1. While lost in thought, he hears a girl calling his name, and it is none other than Toka. She tells him she is back for the thing he called a date, but Shido says they can't go while she is covered in full armor. Toka blushes and asks if he wants to see her change in front of him, but Shido says that's for after the date, and shows her a picture of Tobichi in her school uniform so she can transform into it. Toka rips up the picture, saying she is the only girl for him, and changes into the high school uniform. Shido takes Toka to various places to eat during the date, but poor Toka thinks every food she eats is the date thing Shido was talking about. After seeing a little boy get praised from his mom for recycling, she puts 2 meats in her mouth and recycles as well, then asks Shido for head rubs just like the boy's mom gave to him. The couple is spotted by the 3 judgmental girls, and they think Shido likes to give it as well as take it. While they take a break, Shido asks Toka where she went after the fight yesterday, and she tells him her body disappeared into a dark space per usual. She has no control over when she is forcefully summoned back on Earth. Shido wants to know how she was able to come back this time without causing a spacequake, but Toka refuses to tell him. We find that Tobichi has spotted the couple and is spying on them. She also is confused by the princess's appearance because there was no spacequake. Shido and Toka eventually come across Hiroto, who tells Shido Diddy wouldn't like this. But because Shido is his friend, he says he won't snitch and gives him 2 tickets to support his expensive date. To Shido's surprise, he finds Kotori disguised as a waiter in the restaurant they are in, and she tells him when they are finished, he should bring the princess to a certain part of the city. When they get to that part of the city, they find Kotori had prepared an event just for them, where Kota can eat as much as she'd like. Kota eats, and eats, but Shido tells her to slow down, as if she becomes too full. He can't show her the meaning behind "I can see it in my stomach." Toka takes a break, and thanks Shido for all the fun she is having, but wonders if he is also enjoying their time together. Shido says that he is, but had to reassure her 20 times before Kota could believe him. Happy again, she grabs his hand and the two continue their time together. But because Shido forgot he already has a girlfriend, Tobichi chooses to remind him and suits up in her armor. Shido and Toka eventually find themselves in an arcade room, where they work together on one of the hook machines to get a plushie. They fail initially, but Toka becomes upset and yells at the machine, and for some reason, this works, and the plushie falls through the hole. While they watch the sunset, Toka thanks Shido for all the fun she had today, and says she loves spending time with him. Shido says he feels the same, but does not know his girlfriend has a freaking sniper directly aimed at Toka's head. They continue their conversation, and Toka admits she now understands why the little flies with guns are always bothering her. It's because she causes so much damage and chaos when she appears, and to Shido's shock, she says maybe it's better she does not exist anymore. Her words anger Shido, who tells her not to say such a thing. "I want you by my side. I will give you a place to stay, as much food as you like, and anything that comes our way, we will fight it together." He reminds her, "Even if everyone else rejects you, I don't give a fuck. It doesn't change the fact that I will always accept you and will never want you to leave. All you have to do, Toka, is take my hand."
Whether you like him and don't like him, there's nothing you could do about him because he's number one.
As she reaches for his hand, however, Shido senses the jealousy in the air as the sniper shot fires. He moves Toka out of the way and takes the bullet instead. Both Tobichi and Toka are shocked at what the fuck just happened. Toka puts her jacket over Shido's dead body, and anger boils her blood as she summons her powers. She calls forth her sword's strongest form, and she fires a massive beam in the direction the sniper shot came from, and in a flash, Toka finds Tobichi, who is still traumatized from accidentally killing her boyfriend. While Toka tries to take Tobichi's head, Kotori is weirdly calm about the situation, and says Shido wouldn't die by something like that. And true enough, we find that Shido's wound is freaking healing itself. Toka has had enough and decides to finally end Tobichi, but before she deals the final blow, she hears Shido screaming and falling from the sky. She catches him and cries while asking if it really is him. He says yes, and not being able to hold herself back, she kisses him. The kiss causes her sword and clothes to disappear, and she asks Shido if she can see his sword now, and Shido answers, "Yes, anytime you want to." Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to not miss out on part 2.